Hello, I am Jackie, and you are listening to Jackie Teaches English. This podcast is designed to help English learners improve their listening skills, gain new vocabulary, and learn more about the English-speaking world. Want to read along with the audio? Go to JackieTeachesEnglish.com, where you will find a transcript of this episode. Without further ado, let's dive in. Remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder treason and plot. I see no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. These are the first 5 lines of John Milton's poem that he wrote in 1626 and are a perfect introduction to today's topic, Bonfire Night. Bonfire Night, also known as Guy Fawkes Night, makes an annual appearance on the English calendar and falls on the 5th of November, as the poem helps children and adults alike remember. When talking about dates, we often use the phrasal verb to fall on. Another example would be that Thanksgiving in the USA falls on the last Thursday in November. Guy Fawkes Night falls on the 5th of November and is commemorated each year with bonfires and firework displays across the country. Although Halloween has surpassed it in popularity as the leading autumn holiday, Bonfire Night remains rooted in English tradition and isn't going anywhere. The phrase to be rooted means to have developed from something and to be firmly and strongly fixed, just like a plant with strong roots is secure in the ground. In this episode, we will explore the origins of this fun holiday and discover the dark history behind it. We have to begin our story on the 5th of November, 1603, where a devious plot was discovered. A plot is a secret plan made by several people to do something that is wrong, harmful, or illegal, and the plotters are those people involved. We'll be using these words quite a bit in this episode. The plot was unveiled in a storeroom under the Palace of Westminster in London. Guards discovered 36 barrels of gunpowder along with a man who went by the name John Johnson, with fuses in his pockets. In case you don't know this word, a fuse is a string that can be connected to explosives and lit. And if you are thinking that the name John Johnson sounds fake, you are right. It also wasn't very imaginative, was it? After a few days of torture, John Johnson admitted that his real name was Guy Fawkes, and he, along with several other men, had wanted to blow up Parliament. Not only did they want to blow up the building, but they wanted to kill everyone who was inside it, including King James I, his son and heir, the Prince Henry, and his loyal noblemen. In doing so, those involved in the plot hoped to spark an uprising and restore the Catholic Church in England. The verb to spark is a great expression which means to cause the start of something. I'm sure you're thinking what I'm thinking. This sounds crazy, right? A group of rebels plotted to blow up Parliament, killing the monarch and leading a Catholic revolution in the country. The question is, what led Guy Fawkes and his co-conspirators to attempt such a thing? To answer this question, we need to go back further in English history. Before the 16th century, England was a Roman Catholic country like many European countries of that time. Everyone looked to the Pope as the ultimate representative of God. However, during the 16th century, the Catholic Church faced many political and theological attacks across Europe in a process that we now call the Reformation, or sometimes the Protestant Reformation. I imagine you will have heard about King Henry VIII, notorious for having 6 wives and beheading 2 of them? Well, Henry was Catholic, but became angry with the Catholic Church when the Pope refused to grant him an annulment from his marriage with his first wife, Catherine of Aragon. An annulment is an official announcement that a marriage no longer exists, and it would have been a very convenient way for him to dump Catherine and marry Anne Boleyn, who he was obsessed with. Frustrated when he couldn't get his way, Henry declared himself the head of the Church of England and officially cut ties with the Catholic Church in 1534. By the way, if someone gets his or her way, It means that nobody stops them from doing what they want to do. Henry did not get his way this time, so he made up his own church. He was very stubborn like that. After Henry's death, the country continued to be Protestant under his son, but then his Catholic daughter Mary took the throne, and she tried to reverse the Reformation and reinstate Catholicism. After her death, Elizabeth I became queen and restored Protestantism. It must have been a very confusing time. During this time, many plots to restore Catholicism to England were foiled. If you foil something, it means that you prevent someone or something from being successful. These plots were all foiled. They were unsuccessful. Because of this, there was a strong anti-Catholic sentiment in the country, and Catholics were seen as the enemy within. Despite this, there were many Catholics among the gentry of England who worshipped in the privacy of their own homes. When James I came to the throne in 1603, after the death of Elizabeth, he signed a peace treaty with Spain. This ended the threat of a Spanish invasion, but it dashed the hope of many Catholics that Spain might reinstate Catholicism to the British Isles. Some people decided that it was time to take matters in their own hands. The idiom to take matters in your own hands means to do something yourself instead of waiting for someone else to do it. And this is where the gunpowder plot comes in. A group of disgruntled Catholic men met at the Dog and Duck pub in London on Sunday, the 20th of May, 1604. Their leader was a man by the name of Robert Catesby, who was a veteran of a failed coup in 1601. He presented his plan of blowing up the king and Parliament, but needed a man to light the fuse. That man would be Guy Fawkes. The date of the plot was selected carefully. The 5th of November would be the opening of Parliament, and everyone important would be there, including the king and his son, Prince Henry. Afterwards, when the country would be in complete shock and chaos, the rebels would lead a pro-Catholic uprising. They planned on taking the king's young daughter Elizabeth, installing her as queen, with a Catholic nobleman calling the shots and ruling on her behalf. The idiom to call the shots means to decide how something should be done. Sounds like a solid plan, or does it? Now you might be thinking that it would be very difficult to get 36 barrels of gunpowder under the Palace of Westminster without being seen. But you'd be wrong. In those times, there wasn't a lot of security, and the palace was a mishmash, great word, which means a confusing mixture of meeting rooms, private apartments, shops, and taverns. So it was actually incredibly easy to stash the gunpowder secretly. So what went wrong? As with many failed plots, someone blabbed. To blab means to talk too much, telling others something you should have kept secret. A few days before the 5th of November, Lord Monteagle, who was friendly towards Catholics and used to be Catholic himself, received an anonymous letter. In the letter, he was told to avoid going to Parliament on the 5th, as a punishment was coming. No one knows for sure who wrote this letter, but it is widely suspected that it was one of the rebels named Sir Francis Tresham, because he was Lord Monteagle's brother-in-law. The letter requested that Lord Monteagle immediately burn the letter after reading it. Did he do that? Well, no, he didn't. He took the letter straight to King James I's men and warned them. A search was done of the property on the eve of the plot, and Guy Fawkes, along with his fuses and 36 barrels of gunpowder, were discovered. Fawkes confessed after days of brutal torture and named the other plotters. 8 of the main rebels made a final stand at Holbeach House in Staffordshire, but against a force of 200 soldiers, they were all wounded and killed, including the group's mastermind and leader, Robert Catesby. Any survivors were put on trial, and guess what? They were all found guilty of treason and were sentenced to a traitor's death of hanging, drawing, and quartering. I won't develop what this is as it's too gruesome, but I will add an explanation as part of the annotated transcript for this episode if you are curious. So how did we get from a treasonous plot gone wrong to the family fun, light-hearted holiday we know and love today? Because of the political troubles in the 17th century, the failed gunpowder plot was quickly used as a sign that God favored Protestant England. In January of 1606, Parliament passed an Act for a Thanksgiving to Almighty God every year on the 5th day of November, which made it mandatory for churches to hold a special service on this day. In the decades that followed, other forms and, let's face it, more fun forms of celebration made their way into practice, including bonfires, bell ringing, and fireworks. It was first documented in 1673 that crowds paraded an effigy of the Pope through the streets and put it atop a bonfire in anti-Catholic sentiment. An effigy is a roughly made model of a person that is made in order to be damaged or destroyed in protest. In the 1800s, much of the prejudice towards Catholics lessened, and the effigy of the Pope was replaced with an effigy of Guy Fawkes. This tradition of parading his effigy and putting him on a bonfire to burn has remained ever since. Since the 20th century, Bonfire Night has become a much friendlier event and has dropped all Protestant and Catholic connotations. It is seen as a night for family fun, often with fun fairs, firework displays, and, of course, bonfires. There are less effigies being burned now, and Guy Fawkes has largely been removed from the picture. The event has become mostly about the fireworks, and less about the historical background. However, there are still several villages across the country that hold on to the traditions. I've been lucky to attend a very traditional bonfire night in a small village in Norfolk a couple of times, and I really enjoyed the elaborate Guy Fawkes parade and the biggest bonfire I have ever seen. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. This concludes this fascinating history on Guy Fawkes, and I hope you enjoyed learning more about this very interesting English custom. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Jackie Teaches English. Remember that you can find the annotated transcript for this episode, along with information about online English lessons and much more on my website, JackieTeachesEnglish.com. And if you like what I do, please follow me on your podcast app and leave a review. Your support means a lot. Have a wonderful November wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you next time. Bye!